Early in the 21st century, communities all over the planet sensed a kind of urgency of the undoing of ways of living and dying. An undoing that involved humans and other critters in the tissues of our being together on Earth itself. Somehow a kind of wave of feeling and action and thinking and motion began to sweep the earth in a very particular sense. Communities of 150 to 500 people began to form with each other, either from already being in place, but finding each other and coming together with intensities that were practiced in quite new ways, or moving from one place to another. All of these communities formed themselves around a particular kind of felt intensity, a felt need and lust and desire and project, which was to live for the recuperation of the critters of the earth, the human and the non-human. To somehow cultivate the arts of living on a damaged planet, to be those who came to recuperate and restore where they could, as communities who either already lived or moved to damaged lands, to be communities of care and concern. Camille 1 was born in a community that had decided that at least 3 parents were going to be required for every new baby. And having a baby was not something someone could just decide to do. It was rather a collective decision, so that folks who wanted to bear babies or bring babies into the world might well have to wait or might never be able to do so, but they could participate as parents in a family raising a baby. So that Camille 1 was going to have siblings, not necessarily in the same immediate household, but the children to be born in this community had to have other children who were going to be their siblings, but who were almost certainly not going to be their biological siblings. So the reproductive choice for the person who would bear the pregnancy, whether that person was a male or a female person in the beginning of this process, whoever bore the pregnancy to birthing had a particular kind of reproductive choice, which was to choose a symbiont, another critter who was to be in symbiosis with the human baby for the lifetime of that baby. So the woman who bore Camille 1, in a dream that she had during her pregnancy, chose for Camille 1 the symbiont of the monarch butterfly. Monarch butterflies had part of their range in the area where this community had settled down. Camille 1 at puberty could do many things. Camille 1 could decide to alter its body into male or female or other ways. Camille 1 could choose to stay with whatever body it was birthed with, could partially alter, maybe a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and some of it was going to be irreversible. They'd have to learn to live with consequences. The community was not afraid of a kind of morphological experimentation and thought that that was something that adolescents ought to have the means to do. Camille 1 chose to stay with the symbiosis and to deepen it. And the story begins with the first heir of Camille 1, Camille 2. Camille 2 was born female, and as an adolescent, Camille 2 decided to stay female, but wanted to grow a beard. In Camille 1's lifetime, the symbiotic relationships were not yet at a molecular level. Biological sciences, the technobiological sciences of the community had developed in such a way that by the time Camille 2 was born, it was possible and indeed desirable in the community for the symbionts and the human beings to share bodily substance and to share genetic substance. So at puberty, Camille 2 decided to have implanted on her face a beard made up of the stem cells that would grow the antennae of butterflies. So that Camille 2 had a face full of the antennae of butterflies. And the antennae could sense, could taste the air, taste the foods. And Camille 2 had an enhanced sensory being that she, Z, felt enhanced Z's ability to care for and to care about the ongoing possibilities of the monarchs. By Camille 2's generation, the kids were doing skin implants of stem cells to build patterns on their skin that were the patterns of the insects and the critters that they were taking care of. So they would do, their dance raves and drug scenes and all the rest. They had various kinds of light shows and really, some of the ones that were symbiotically banded to the octopus and the squid had the chromatophores in their skin. So when they got sexually excited, they would pulse the same way that the squid and the cuttlefish and the octopus would pulse. They could do these amazing light shows with their skin. So there was a kind of playfulness around this caring. Just as making kin without making babies was a lifetime matter, this question of forming and reforming kin was not something done all at once. You didn't inherit everything all at once. Frequently, adoptions would take place of people in their 50s. Families would form and reform and perhaps redo their houses and rewrite their instruments of financial joint responsibility. It was understood that making family was a lifetime matter and that families needed to be able to experiment and change. The commitments were very serious and intended to be for a lifetime, but it could take various forms. It was understood that you needed rituals and support, ways of celebrating the breaking up of love affairs and the consolidation of friendships out of love affairs that had broken. Of course, there were terrible mistakes made. It was understood that there would be a lot of suffering in this. But the communities felt that they were the children of compost. They were staying with the trouble. They were here to somehow build the cat's cradle games that would make flourishing, ongoing possible.